Hello students, in this session I would like to cover regarding consumer behavior. That is the second chapter. The second chapter actually deals with a concept called as perception. Perception is one of the most difficult things to understand and also to practice, and we need a lot of practical examples to understand perception. See, it is something we have been seeing and experiencing from our childhood. But we never actually understand the process of perception, and without understanding that, we're actually practicing it. So let us examine what exactly is perception. Perception actually is a process whereby you normally look at things and trying to understand about things and trying to grasp some information about that and then apply it to you and again use it in the way you want it. So, to look at perception in a better way, we can go through a small example. See, if a small kid is there and you show him a toffee, he learns something that the toffee is going to be an item which you can always eat. He's not sure whether the toffee is a sweet one or whether the toffee is contains chocolate which should not eat, or it contains other hazardous chemicals which we should not consume. He is not aware of any of these things. By the shape of it and by the look of it, the child perceives that the chocolate or the toffee like item is something which you can eat. Now, do one thing. If you can place a small stone in place of the toffee, which is very, very similar to the toffee in terms of color, in terms of size, shape, and everything. The child even then assumes that the same stone what you kept over there is the same toffee. And without any kind of fear, without any kind of issues, he will try to eat it. This is an example what we can see and what we can relate to perception. See, the problem is all of us, depending on our age levels, depending on our the kind of education what we receive, depending on the kind of knowledge levels what we have, we normally perceive things in different ways. In the above example, what we have seen that the child is unfortunately trying to eat a small stone, which is not a toffee, and it's a very dangerous act. But even then, the child is not, he's not aware that the thing eating of the stone is, connected to danger. Therefore, he is consuming it. And he is assuming, with all the knowledge what he possesses, that the stone is actually a toffee. Misinterpretation. So these are kind of things what we need to learn about. And perception actually tells you all these things. In order to understand these things, let us go into the detail. Let's go into screen sharing, whereby we can recall a basic few facts. And based on that, we can go ahead and actually see what perception is all about, and we can learn that. So let's go into screen sharing for that. So people actually, they say in the perception there is actually a process, and the process is that it says that the item is going to be selected and it is going to be received, organized, and again interpreted. So this actually shows that you know the user is actually trying to select whatever he is coming across, and he is going to receive the item or the product or the information in a way he likes it. He is going to organize all the information in a basic format, in a format which he likes, and interpret all the facts at a later point of stage. After the interpretation is done, then based on whatever he understand, whatever he is able to interpret from the facts about the product or about the information about a person, the person is going to react. So basically, Perception actually goes through this entire process. So that's what you can see here. It says that perception is the process of selecting, organizing, interpreting information inputs to produce meaning. So, whatever you are trying to select, whatever you are trying to organize, whatever the user is trying to interpret should have some meaning. If that doesn't have a meaning, if you whatever you are trying to gather does not have a meaning, then obviously you're not going to take it. You're not going to interpret what is that thing means to you. So you'll stop it. So perception is a continuous process. It happens all the time. So how is that people are actually defining perception? A lot of academicians, a lot of knowledgeable people, they actually gave a lot of important definitions for perception. Let us see what exactly is one of them. Joseph Reich is one of the few economists. He's an economist by nature and also a good academician. He wrote a lot of prose, a lot of research articles on economics. And this man has given his own opinion regarding perception. He said perception includes all the process by which an individual receives information about his environment, seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, and smelling. Now, if you look at carefully, why exactly he brought into picture seeing, one of your senses, hearing, again your sensing ability, feeling, another sensation part including the body, tasting and smelling. See, these things are included primarily because our sensory organs are going to play a vital role in our perception process. So, in order to perceive something, in order to understand something, in order to gain some information from the process, you are actually using all the sensory organs. So, for example, I recall an advertisement which I have read previously, I have seen previously. It is about a TV brand called as Videocon. Videocon during the 1990s, 2000 and the earlier 2000 segment. It was a good TV brand. A lot of people they used to go for Videocon, and because Videocon advertisement itself has said seeing is believing. So it's a terrific thing. And what you see is what you believe. And that's what exactly the process of perception calls for. It says what you see is what you believe. Therefore, what you are seeing actually is communicating a particular message to your brain, and that is perceived and understood in a particular manner in the brain. And the facts are registered in the brain in another particular manner. So, your sensory organ called as your eyes are playing a very vital role in your seeing process or in the perception process. So, is hearing also a sensory organ involved in the process of perception? I would like to say yes. The primary reason being, normally what you hear is what you believe. If I hear something good about a person, obviously some part of that gets registered in the brain. Now, for example, you go to a kindergarten school, the teacher all the time will be telling them rhymes, right? And they're called as rhymes because she will be acting the rhyme along with she'll be loudly orating the line. Now, thing is that when she's orating that rhyme, the way she's orating that, the way she's speaking about the rhyme, the way she's singing the rhyme, makes sort of sense to the kids. The kids practice how to, use the rhyme, how to sing that rhyme based on how the teacher acts and how the teacher actually sings it. That is learning process. And all the learning process, the teacher is able to imbibe in the students, in those small kids, through the way of acting and again singing. The actions are carried to the people by because they're looking at the teacher. So they register the acting in their minds. Whenever you play the rhyme at a later point of stage, normally they will act exactly the same way the teacher acts. Primarily because the people believe, the students believe, those kids believe that what the teacher acted is exactly right. So they interpret the facts that way. Also, they will try to sing the rhyme exactly in the same manner, exactly the same, using the same vocabulary, same length, right? And in the same manner in which the teacher has sung on the particular day. So it makes a lot of sense for us to understand about perception by listening to all these examples. My dear friends, uh, if you want to carefully observe what exactly is perception, there is no better example than these two things. Also, I like to go through another common example which all of us can use it normally. These are corona times, and many doctors and many advertisements saying that are you able to smell or taste anything? Are is your taste buds and smell buds acting exactly the same way? See, if your smelling sensation is gone, tasting is gone, then that's a sure symptom for catching corona. People, if you want to carefully correlate the example what I'm saying to the process of perception, you can actually understand this that taste buds and again the smelling, the nose, which plays an important role in smelling things, is again deeply connected to your corona. The news about the information about corona is understood, and if you are falling prey to the corona as a victim, you're testing it using your sensory perceptions, the taste buds, and again the smelling process. So these are two things which are connected to that. Another small example I would like to quote here, that is, if somebody pinches you, how do you feel? You feel bad about that. You feel irritated, right? You feel that pinch on your skin. Now, how is that your skin is carrying a message to your brain? Can the skin speak to your brain? No. But it speaks in a different manner because the skin on your body is feeling the pain from the pinch. And the pain is always carried through the blood vessels to your brain. And the brain is registering that the body is getting hurt if somebody pinches you. So basically, the information that we receive from the pinching act is that somebody pinches you, it's going to hurt you. That will be registered as a fact in your brain. Now, people, I hope all these examples regarding perception are carried into your brain, and there's no better other way to understand regarding perception. So, and moreover, if you think, why exactly do we need to understand perception? And why is this man is telling us all these things regarding perception in a MBA classroom, and that too, especially when it is connected to a consumer behavior class, which is more or less is into marketing. Are you going to pinch a customer? No. Are you going to ask a customer to test smell something? Maybe yes. I'll give you an example here. See, people, if you go to a super large store, a super large, grocery store, a supermarket, what do you see? Normally, you see a section where all the items regarding such as scents and again the body sprays and other kind of sprays are set at a particular place. And that place will be normally not attached with other things. Normally, it will be kept aloof, in a different location in one particular part of the store. The reason being, many people who want to test the smell of that scent of that thing, they'll be going to the place, they'll ask for a demo, and the salesman or the sales girl, what they will do is they'll spray it on your thumb or on your hand or in a palm, and they'll ask you to smell it. And if that smell is a bit rough, then it is spread automatically into other sections of the grocery store. So thereby, because the grocery store doesn't want it to happen, normally what they do is they keep this kind of sections way apart. So now you see the connection that even sometimes your consumer is going to buy products or select a product depending on the smell of it, depending on the taste of it. See, another example, what I can give you is if you go to a grocery store, if there are food items kept in the place, if there are some sweets displayed in the food in the section, what do? You take your kids along, and the kid will ask you, "Mom, I want to buy this," and "Sir, I want to buy," no, Dad, I want to go for this. And you will not buy it immediately. You will ask for a small piece for tasting. And the salesman will happily share with you a chocolate or a sweet or a candy because he know it's going to get him a market. So the taste actually is going to compel the user, the consumer, as well as the buyer towards the good. So these are examples what you can use, what you can learn about how you can actually connect the concept of perception to your consumer behavior. Consumers go through the process. They go through the process by using all the seeing what they do, all the hearing about the products are goods, all the feelings what they get by entering into a showroom or into a grocery store, by all the experiences regarding tasting and smelling of the goods or the products. So these are things which play a vital role in getting the product and getting the product sold or in bringing a consumer to you, right? Now, of course, there are a few things which we need to get your attention to. Like, for example, there is a particular concept called as selective attention, which means that, see, normally if you go through a grocery store, there are thousands of items placed in that. There are a lot of shelves in that. Is every shelf going to attract your attention? Is every shelf going to gain your attention? No, I mean not. So, what catches your attention? How is that you are pulled towards a particular product or a service? You are pulled to a product or a service because you went to the grocery store with a particular impulse, with a particular notion, with a particular knowledge that I want to buy this. I'm looking for this particular item, therefore, I'll go to a place where a lot of such items are being displayed and I'm going to select any one from those things. This is called as selective attention. Selective attention draws your attention only to a particular portion of the good or particular portion of the products. You are not attracted to all the other things. Selective distortion is another thing in which actually you are stimulated to go through it. Now, for example, if you are going through a grocery store, there is a particular place where a lot of chocolates and again the chocolate fountains are kept. And obviously, by passing, even when you're passing by that, even when you're passing near to that, your kid gets attracted to that. And he wants you to buy it because chocolate fountain is very attractive and there are a lot of things which are displayed next to it. And he literally beg you, stop you to stop at the point and buy him a small chocolate. Now, this is a your stimulus it gains a lot of attraction, gets stimulated even though when you don't have a need for it. Sometimes the stimulus which automatically comes up when you see a particular product or when you go through a particular this thing, and you will go for the product or the good, that kind of a thing is termed as selective distortion. And selective retention is one more thing. When you want to go for a product, when you are trying to listen to about a particular thing, right, a lot of people will be giving you information regarding that. When you ask people about how is kind of scooter is going to be, and what is the benefit you are getting from this, why should you buy this, people say a lot of things. All those things may not get registered with you as facts. For example, you want to buy a Ramal Vespa, you like the color so much, you like the shape of it, and you like that kind of start it gives, this kind of smooth run it has. And if somebody says something bad about that, it may not, that fact, even though it is fact, right? That fact may not get registered with you simply because you don't want it. So that is called as selective retention. The fact is getting, you're retaining the fact because you like it. Other information, even though it is true, you're trying to avoid it. So these are things which play a very vital role during your perception process. Now, my dear friends, let me end the session here, primarily because uh, primarily because the process of perception is a tough one to understand, and I have taken so much of time to explain the process of perception by using so many examples because I want you guys to have a clear idea regarding what the process is like and how is it is actually connected to your real day life, and how is it is actually connected to the concept called as consumer behavior. And why should your consumer behavior have a topic such as a chapter, in fact, to in your marketing topic called as consumer behavior? How exactly you can use this? And unless you have a clear idea regarding this, tomorrow you are not going to use this in your practical applications in your life. So, hope, my dear friends, the concept is very clear with you. And as I have been saying earlier, and I have been sharing earlier, any doubts about this, any queries about this, please feel free to chat in the Google Classroom. You can actually upload your questions in the Google Classroom. You can leave a message over there, and I will definitely respond in the next video what I'm going to make in the perception. And as a matter of fact, what I want to do is I want to spare 5 minutes of this session time only for that. Any particular queries are going to be registered, they will be addressed in the next video session or in the live class which I'm going to take, and whichever is earliest. Right? So all the best, my dear friends. Stay safe and